The Code of Ethics plays a fundamental role in the field of interpreting and translation. The reason of its importance is due to the fact that it represents the only protection for professionals of this sector. The profession of interpreters and translators belong to the category of non-regulated professions. These professions are not regulated by national legislations, and they can be exercised even without the possession of a specific qualification. Despite the many attempts made in recent years, there is not a professional association of interpreters and translators, which would certainly have guaranteed greater protection for professionals working in this sector. Naturally, it represents a problem also for clients, who cannot be sure to receive quality translations. Since there is not a professional association, the only protection for interpreters and translators is represented by trade associations, namely bodies that are responsible for representing and protecting the interests of a specific production or professional category. Among the most important trade associations in Italy, there are Unitalia, Aniti, AITI, and ANIOS. The main objective of trade associations is to ensure that their members comply with the Code of Ethics. This code is composed by some principles that the professional must follow in the exercise of his or her profession. The Code of Ethics of Italian trade associations is divided into numerous articles, which are divided into groups. These groups are general principles, relationship with colleagues, relationship with clients, relationship with other associations, disciplinary sanctions, and disciplinary proceedings. The number of articles, the order in which they are written, and the groups themselves can change depending on the association, as each association can insert, modify, or delete articles. The articles of the code, as can be seen from the name of the groups, refer to all the duties and prohibitions of professionals. Depending on the association that proposes the code, it is possible to see that some of them could be modified in order to be improved. For example, sometimes codes dwell on topics that, in my opinion, could be communicated directly to interpreters and translators, as in the case of Aniti Association Code. This association has a section of 10 articles dedicated to suspension and radiation, or the AITI Association Code, which has 2 articles that do not reflect the ideal behavior of interpreters and translators, as they said that if there are any topics in the speaker's speech that do not reflect the interpreter's thought, the latter is obliged to communicate this to the speaker, but interpreters and translators must not reveal their opinions and ego. In fact, 2 of the main characteristics of interpreters and translators are neutrality and invisibility. When these characteristics are not respected, it is possible to cause uncomfortable situations in which the interpreter or translator may be accused of interference or of not having transferred the message correctly. An example of these situations is what happened to the official White House interpreter Elisabetta Savigny Ullman, who, during a meeting between President Trump and President Mattarella, was confused by a question made by a journalist that she did not understand. But the reason for her expressions was misrepresented by the press. In fact, the confusion on her face was attributed to incredulity for what President Trump was saying. Moreover, current codes of ethics generally contain a large number of articles, and this can be very dispersive for professionals. For these reasons, a temporary solution to the absence of a professional association could be the creation of a single code of ethics for our country. In the code of ethics proposed by me, there are 12 articles instead of 27. These articles mainly focused on the behavior that professionals must have when dealing with both written and oral translations. In addition, I have added some details which are not present in the current codes of ethics, but they are fundamental in order to carry out quality work. The first one is about the constant professional training of interpreters and translators. It should be periodically verified through the achievement of a certain number of credits from examinations of the language and culture with which the professional is working. Another article I have added suggests that only professionals with a specific qualification should become members of the association, while those who don't have it will have to pass an entrance test to prove their qualification in the sector. In this way, the articles of the code arrive directly and concisely to those who read it. To find out what interpreters think about this situation, I decided to interview Paolo Maria Noseda, one of the most famous Italian interpreters. According to the interview, Mr. Noseda, who works in this sector since 1978, says that the profession of interpreters and translators is not protected as it should be, and that the establishment of a professional association would be the best solution to give value to this important and delicate profession. But given that, at the moment, especially with the current critical situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is not possible, a solution could be the union of all the associations into one, or the creation of a single code of ethics to ensure a more accurate control of professionals. This does not mean that we have to stop fighting for the establishment of a professional association. On the contrary, we must continue to do so to ensure greater harmony in the job market for aspiring interpreters and translators, but also for clients who place their trust in professionals.